What's going on, family? Something that I need to tell you guys first before you jump into this episode this week. We just want to say as a little disclaimer, please be aware. We do talk about some pretty heavy things in this episode. We're talking about relationships, so we talk about physical, mental, and emotional abuse. That is our disclaimer for this episode. Enjoy the show, guys.
Welcome to Season 2
of the Coco Lesa Podcast.
It's real hip-hop music from the soul, y'all.
From the soul. It always start with loving, don't it? That we always end up fighting, but we could fall off long as we get back to riding, homie. You the only one I see.
Hello, family.
Hi there.
We're looking at those blue blips on the screen. They just look so loud. I feel so loud, but I'm trying to be less so.
But you edited it. You turned it down, right?
I turned it down. Yeah, I turned it down when I listened to it in playback. No jokes. What's going on, family? It feels like it's been so long since we've done an episode, and we just put out an episode last week. So but welcome back. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for all the love and support. We hope you guys are enjoying the season.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed our last episode on communities.
It went a little bit different than we intended it to. Like, we got...
Well, that's because we had thought of the topic beforehand, and we were, like, so hyped about it when we thought of it. And then, like, 3 days later, it was like, it kind of...
Well, we had the conversation multiple times in different settings too, and so it came out differently a little bit than we wanted it to. But we still hope you understood what we were trying to say and that talk about community. But this episode, I think, is actually going to be pretty funny.
I didn't know about that.
This is an episode
/ offensive to
that Kel decided on.
No, I didn't.
She wanted to do. You want your voice to be heard and your grievances.
Oh
she wanted to talk about controlling, domineering partners. So this episode is going to be about one of my favorite guys to mention, Viliami. Okay, so Viliami is an inside joke for us, right? Because whenever she's giving me a hard time, I'm like, Viliami doesn't take out the garbage. Viliami doesn't help with the kids. Viliami hits his wife.
It's kind of rude in a sense. It's kind of like...
I'm going to tell you where it came from. I was on Twitter one day, and there was a picture of Homer Simpson under a blanket, sleeping and relaxing, and it was one of those blankets with the patterns on it with cats and lions and shit, and they were Mexican dads while the mom is crying with 6 kids and needs help in the kitchen and shit. And I was like, bruh, it was hilarious. And the thing that makes it real is that actually is a lot of people's situation. Personally, I know someone who wanted a kid so bad, wanted his son, and then when the kid was born, completely hands off. He don't want to know about that no longer. He don't want to hear about him, see about him. You're the mother. You're the woman. This is your job. You change the diaper. You take care of it. When he gets older, I'll interact with him. Yeah. And that's a lot of dudes.
That is.
Mindsets. I've even seen, I don't know her name, because I don't even know if she's a mutual or just a post that pops up. But yo, she hates her life as a mom. I'm sure there are parts of it she enjoys, but her husband does nothing.
Zero.
He goes to work, he works his job, he comes home, and he's not touching the kids. I work 9 to 5 to bring home money. That's his mindset.
That's the thing. I saw a tweet the other day as well about this guy was like, I work 9 to 5 to provide for my family, but apparently all men are trash. And I'm like, you've just missed the entire point of the all men are trash thing. And I'm like, you're doing literally the bare minimum.
And as my wife likes to remind me, you don't celebrate a fish for swimming.
You don't.
Which is what she told me one time. But anyway,
he's like, I just want acknowledge. I'm like, you don't
not
need
me. She's talking about the other guy. She's not talking about me, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes you do. No, I'm kidding. Really right there.
Okay, so anyway, right? So, but there's a lot of dudes that do just the bare minimum, right? And even on top of that, so a conversation that I had with my sister-in-law one time is abusive men are the reason lazy men win, right? Because there's dudes who beat their partners. who are verbally abusive, who are mentally abusive, and vice versa. There are women who do these things as well. This goes in both directions. But because of those dudes, lazy men win. Because there'll be women who have like 3 or 4 kids and the husband doesn't do anything, right? And people will be like, well, are you happy? And they'll be like, well, he doesn't hit me, you know? Like, he doesn't...
Yeah.
And so lazy dudes get to win because of abusive dudes, right?
But I feel like... I hope, like, people are coming out of that now and they're like, no, the bare minimum doesn't cut it anymore.
No, I mean, it's different for everybody. Some people, like, if you have kids already and you're with this person, one of the hardest things for people in life to do is reset or start over or do something new or try something scary, especially when it's them and their kids. So kudos to the people that do. But so the reason that this topic came up is because she doesn't enjoy cooking. So she doesn't put her full effort into it. And I love cooking from the bottom of my heart and soul and enjoy our meals. So I don't want her to cook. I don't want her in my kitchen making subpar food that none of us are going to enjoy. And she was so offended by this. She was like, we need to talk about domineering partners.
Listen, because... There are sometimes when I just have to cook because you weren't like...
Yeah, you know,
the schedule doesn't work for you to cook every night.
And I appreciate that.
So I cook. My God.
This is why I buy things that are microwavable.
And
easy to put together.
So I cooked like a what was it? A steak thing the other day, and I put sesame oil in there. And he's now said, after that one dish, he said never
It's not
again.
even after that one dish. She made breakfast one time, right? She made a big, nice breakfast meal, right?
It was
and
good.
as she handed me the plate of breakfast, she said, I know you have to taste as you go, but I didn't taste it. Here. And just handed me this plate of flavorless, tasteless food.
Kids! It's more about efficiency than it is about...
Which is why I don't want you in my kitchen. I love you. Don't cook in my kitchen. What did you just make that the girls didn't eat?
Shut up! That's their own taste bud. It was eggs, okay?
Sorry. All right. So, but the reason this episode is called Viliami, and the reason that became our inside joke is because whenever she gives
which no offense to Viliamis out there,
this is not me celebrating myself, but I make sure that like I cook all our meals, I do the work, I help with the babies, we take turns with the shifts, right? So whenever she's giving me a hard time about what I truly think and believe is nonsense, I be like, Viliami don't do this. Viliami don't do that. Viliami beats his wife.
And I'm just like...
So that's how that kind of became an inside joke for us. And the funny thing about it is I appreciate the things that she does, but she gets frustrated because I don't actually want her to do most things. I don't like...
Which is offensive.
If I could... one of my greatest regrets in life, not even in our marriage, in life, that I hate the most is that there's not more of me. Because I literally wish I could do everything myself.
Which I have told him on multiple occasions that this is an insult. This is offensive to people that you like rely on every day, like me. And your sisters.
Why? I love you all very much.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, you can do it, but I wish I... multiplying myself could do it. Like you even said with the My Hero Academia, sorry to throw in geek shit, but if you guys have seen My Hero Academia,
the dude who multiplies is my favorite quirk.
Teddy's like, if I had a quirk and you would want more of him.
Son, if I could literally do everything myself, I would be the happiest I've ever been. And
I'm like, shit, am I just here to have babies?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But anyway, so it's not even that I'm an amazing dad or husband. Like, I love taking care. Partly, I love taking care of my family. I love protecting, providing, making sure we have everything. But for me, it's also, I would much rather do everything myself. Like, if I could, I would even have the babies. Wow. But I appreciate that you know what I mean, you handle that for us.
Yeah, alright. Out of, last resort necessity. Fine. No. You can do this. But that's why it's funny to me. Well, no, it's not funny. It's really messed up. But when I see those conversations online, I'm like, she got it good, boy. She's spoiled. But not even just that. Like, I don't... There's certain comments, there's certain things that I see online, and I'm like, why are you still with him? Like, not like that, but because I know everyone's situations are different, but
and some people, the alternative is die, so that's a very privileged.
Yeah, I know, but what's in my head right now is like I saw a tweet about this chick, and she's like, oh, she texted her boyfriend. She's like, oh, I'm on my period. Can you go grab me some tampon? And he's like, ew, no. And I'm like, what? It's just, I guess maybe the dynamic is different between husband and wife.
No, it's not even that. I think a lot of people, relationship-wise, are in very complicated and difficult relationships. So here's the thing, right? The first thing that we got to understand is what everybody needs back is different, right? So some people can accept things because what's not a big deal for them could be a very big deal to you. What's not a big deal breaker to them could be a deal breaker to you. So we can't judge anybody's situation that way, right?
That is true.
Then on top of it, it's not always safe for people to not be in their situation. Like some people, it's life or death trying to leave their situation. Facts. And that's actual, right? But what people, there's so many different love languages. You know what I mean? And this is why we need to do our relationship podcast. There's so many different love languages. So what people need back, depending on what they're invested in, is different. Some people just look at us, perfect example. Like, I love you. Some people just need to know and hear I love you, because they didn't hear that, and they don't hear that in other aspects of life. So knowing that someone loves them is enough for them. And I've heard someone get slandered for that before. Like, you be doing this, and you be doing this, and you be doing this, and that motherfucker says I love you, and you good, and you all in, like, and so they were angry for the other person. Yeah. You know what I mean? But not, and then some people need the grand gestures, and some people, like, that's why
it's different for everyone.
I thought a really offensive narrative was like, there was this woman who was posting all the things she does for her man and how she takes care of her husband and her partner, and they were like, oh, she's a pick-me, and I was like, that's super disrespectful. Like, she's not automatically a pick-me because she loves and takes care of her family. Because listen, okay, so we went to the hospital when one of my aunts was getting ready to pass, and we had the girls, and we got there with all our stuff, and one of my uncles was trying to talk to me. And I told him he had to wait because I needed to help get the girls settled. And he was like, are you trying to be a father? Like, because men from his generation, and a lot of dudes from our generation, it's not a man's job in their mind.
Exactly, gender roles.
To do any of those things. And still you ungrateful. But no. Wow.
This is what I put up with.
No. So, but this is a lot of people's very real situation. You know what I mean?
Something that I also saw that was like not a trend, I wouldn't say it's a trend, which is really different, is like, it was a lot of women were coming out with their like abuse stories in the Pacifica community, but anonymously coming out with them. Like they would put them on this page, and it was just so many. And the reason why I bring this up is because there are a lot of Viliamis in a lot of ways, like in different...
Yeah, there's so many different ways to receive abuse from a partner. Mentally, physically, emotionally, neglect.
And it wasn't all like... Some of the stories were really like sad, like, oh, it was like family members that would have abused them. But some of them were like women with a husband that's abusive to their child, and it's kind of like a really
we talked about that in an earlier episode about Joe when we went to our antenatal classes, how she loved her husband, and the only reason she had to leave him is because the thing that she could not tolerate is how badly he beat their children, and she couldn't get past that. What do you...
I'm giving him the fucking big eyes, because this is a conversation we have frequently.
Because we don't want to or don't agree with popping. So we've settled on occasionally we try to hand smack and leave it there. But
even then, it's
very hard for her. Like, she doesn't like it. It's very rough on her. But for me, the flip side is...
But even, like, raised voice... Like, I'm not saying you can't raise your voice, but, like, raised voices towards your kid gives me, like, deep, like...
trauma, like, experiences and memories. And
because it's the power dynamic. Like, this is a small child, and you're, like, this huge... Like, I am this huge-ass person. Like, everyone that's an adult is, like... The power dynamic there... It kind of...
And I get that, and I understand that, but the thing for me is, like, so I feel what Bob said in the interview. We watched a guy who we're a fan of and has a YouTube channel on an interview and on a panel with multiple fathers. And this is turning into a different conversation, but I guess it still ties in the family. And what one of the fathers said is he has a wife and he has daughters. There are no males in his house other than him. And his wife came from a very messed up background with a father who was super abusive and violent. So he doesn't even raise his voice in his house. But he definitely doesn't put his hands on anybody. And Bob said, listen, I have male sons. He said, it's not my go-to, but it's in the tool belt.
It's in the tool belt.
And he said, my sons constantly try and test me. And our oldest is not my go-to, and I'll never go past a certain point because I am the blueprint for how she will view acceptable interactions with men for the rest of her life. But it's in the tool belt because the thing we have to be honest about, if we're going to put me out there, we're going to put everybody out there.
No, I wasn't even putting you out there. No,
I got you. But listen, let's be real. You're very loosely an authority figure to her. Loosely.
What?
Listen, she's not scared of you, G.
Just because she's not scared of me doesn't mean she doesn't.
That's fair. And I'm not saying, but she'll see how far she can take it with you. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a good thing I got patience.
Which is dope, and we appreciate that. But sometimes, yes, I am the enforcer of the household when things, you know, and so...
Which I'm grateful a lot of the time.
Right, but because we have balance.
Yeah.
And not even falling into gender roles, but there's need for different things. Yeah. And you are definitely their source of affection, and you love them so much, and a lot of the things are so cringeworthy to you that discipline is hard for you.
It is.
Discipline, even like normal, regular discipline is rough for you. And so between the two of us, there's a middle ground because you can't have all you can't have all discipline and you can't have all touchy feely. You know what I mean? Your kids are gonna be wild. So we have a good balance. So you can snake eye me all you like. Okay? But so that is part of the Viliami conversation too. Because two aspects, and these two things are both from my students. One blew me away because I had one student who dropped out and never came back because her partner, the father of her child, she was in court and she was in protective custody because he had stabbed her like 6 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And this is the man who's the father of her child, and she had to testify against him. And then... So my goal, one of my desires that I'm working towards in the future as we build all of these things we build is eventually I would like to run for governor of Hawaii one day. Like that's really a goal for me. And my students were like, dope, and we love it, but we don't let the pressure ever be too much to the point where you beat your family. And it blew me away because I know they don't think of me in that way. And that is never a go-to for me. But that was so much a reality for them and things that they've lived with, that out of love for me and for you and the girls, that was real advice that they wanted to give me because they didn't want the pressure of all of these things.
But that is so true. Like, you see that in a lot of Pacifica families. It either comes out in a lot of different ways, like alcoholism, gambling, like it's...
Yeah, a lot
of... Or like beating your kids, like...
And so I've even had, because the dynamic of our classroom shifted and we went from a female dominant class to having older men, right? Particularly older Samoan men. And once they grew to love me, and I loved them too, and they really did grow to love me, they had very honest and real and candid conversations with me about the direction in life that I helped them to move towards, opposed to the direction that they had lived in. And even with the churches being a part of their lives, like it was wild for me to hear another man who was older than me tell him, I made him want to stop beating his family. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this information. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really happy that you're not in that direction anymore, but we gotta have some more talks. Like, you know? So, but that for him, he was like, it was me, and he couldn't do things the way they did in Samoa anymore.
Yeah.
And he was like, in Samoa, he was like, it's everywhere in Samoa. He was like, you beat your family, and the teachers beat your children, and it's just, he was like, you beat your wife. He said, you can beat your wife in Samoa, and people will call the cops, and the cops don't even come, because it's just the way things are. It's just how things are done.
But this slowly...
And that was a very live conversation to have. Like, but, you know, so this is a very real talk in our communities, and I'm not even going to stereotype anyone or put this towards anyone, but so this is very hard for me to say this because I don't know how to say this without throwing myself under the bus and trying to sound like I'm anyway. So I know a lot of women from a certain race and culture who are aggressive, and they get stereotyped that way, but that's not my goal. But I'm telling you, literally, I was at a bus stop one day, getting ready to go to a convention in the city, and I'll never forget this story. I tell it all the time. This gentleman, I don't know what he did, but he was at the driver's seat, and all I couldn't see what was on the other side of him. All I saw was his head jerking and hitting the window, boom, boom, like that. And I'm across the street looking at it, and I was like, why is his head hitting the window? He rolled down the window to try to get away. It's because his partner was punching him in the face, and every hit was making his head jerk. And to make it worse, the cars were all stopped behind him because he couldn't drive while he was getting punched in the face.
That's crazy.
And so everybody was honking the horn at him because he was holding up the light. And so he had to like drive around the corner slowly while getting punched in the face and then leave his car. And as I see him walking down the street, there's a little angry woman behind him following him that's like half his size, and this is the lady that was tearing him apart. So,
but there's also like a lot of that dynamic in our cultures also, like,
it's not just the dude. Like, we got a lot of dragon ladies, we got like a lot of women. We have very strong, powerful, loud, vocal women in our culture that have many husbands who are afraid of their wives and really live that life, that don't know where their paychecks go to, and their wife's got a couple boyfriends, but you know, it's okay, you know, she doesn't hit me, we're okay, we're not yelling right now, her boyfriend's a nice guy.
But it's really sad because they like literally financially abuse their husbands. Like,
so it goes both ends. It's not just Viliami. Yo, these are real things, though.
Yeah, well, we should stop calling it Viliami. I don't know if that's...
Which is actually going to be the title of this episode.
You're so disrespectful.
Oh, life with a Viliami. But no, so it's a conversation that we have, just to reflect on.
Yeah,
we're fortunate to have our relationship and our marriage and the bond between us. We're fortunate for all the things that we don't have to encounter and deal with, and also acknowledging the things that other people are going through in a very real way, and sometimes to keep each other in check and say, hey, appreciate your relationship.
There's varying degrees of Viliamis.
There are.
And
like something we see on the TL all the time is so many people that have partners that were everybody's partner.
Yeah, and it's so funny, like the exposed stories, like how
but even that's that lady. So they say all the time about women who get mad at the woman opposed to their partner, but there are people that could live with it if it wasn't public.
Yeah,
you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, as long as I'm the person that he or she comes home to,
there's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm good with that. Like, do what you need to do,
politicians,
but just make sure you come home. You know what I mean? It's here, and for some people, like
that's enough for them,
right? You know, and that's not enough or okay for all of us. But I also, yes, we know where you stand on this. But I still think also it's wrong to shame people who...
You mean like shame them and expose them on the internet?
No, I don't mean so. I mean it's wrong to shame the women or the men that still love people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the thing about this conversation, that's a big part of this conversation, is something we don't talk about or something we act like primarily because of Christianity is we behave like monogamy is the only option out there. And it's the same thing about being straight or gay or bisexual or transgender. Just like those aren't the only sexual orientations, monogamy is not the only relationship setting that works for people.
Yeah.
But because it's the one that's most recognized, it's the one that people get put into the most. So you have a lot of people that love their partners but are in the wrong
type of
relationship for them.
But that's their own. You need to work that shit out. Like,
yeah, fair. But so you have serial monogamists who are actually polygamists, but it's just because they're not allowed to be with, you know what I mean?
They're not allowed.
Or polyamorous. Listen.
If it's
their pool is a lot smaller to play in.
Listen, white people don't. I see white people like proud to be polyam, and that's like
right.
A whole big
who did you
say?
Who did you say?
Who did I say?
You see who that's proud to be a part of that? Though you got quiet
white
when you
people.
said it. Right, but how much do you see that in other cultures?
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, yeah, no.
Exactly.
Not really
you don't.
Brown cultures.
That is not accepted at all in brown cultures, unless you're like from Indonesia or Africa, and even then, it's not polyamorous, where everybody's a part of this relation group. It's mostly polygamous, where it's one man that has multiple partners. Which, hot take, we saw a very interesting video on that, which was from a panel of black. I've heard so many different aspects and views on people who are okay with polygamy. And this black lady on a panel of black ladies, she made points. She made points. How did you feel? Because you look like you feel differently about what she said.
She did make points, and it's something that I kind of had an understanding of previously. So go explain what she was talking about.
Okay, so basically she was saying monogamy is a human thing. And she said the people who enforce it the most and benefit from it the most are weak men or broke men, right? Who've banded together to make this so that every man can have a woman. She said in nature, every male doesn't have a partner. It's the best. It's the strongest. And they get the most females or all the females. They said having multiple wives or multiple partners is not a problem for rich men or powerful men. It's only poor and broken weak men who don't benefit from that situation. And the women in that situation still win because they get what they need and what they want from those partners in that situation. Yeah. So, but we've created this monogamous mindset and view in society where you're only supposed to be with one person and then duds win too. That, which was effectively her argument. So she said, so if I'm getting what I need and I'm happy and I'm okay with sharing, and another, like the basically the argument was, why would I not want to share the best piece of steak with people I love rather than having my own tough shitty piece of steak? Like, how is that a win?
Yeah.
that was her argument on it. And I was like it makes sense, but I also have the understanding that not everyone is built that way.
Yeah,
and that's the basis of this conversation and a lot of these conversations. Even things that we discuss, some things you're okay with in theory, and in practical application, you'd be like, no dice. And it's because we're all built differently. And so I'm not saying any situation is right or wrong for everyone, because one of my biggest views in life is there is no such thing as one answer that's right for everyone. Not. But I also think it's wrong to shame people for trying to live into and be a part of the lives that's right for them. Because, again, coming from brown cultures and backgrounds, even if one of us was individually okay with that, I guarantee if somebody's family finds out that their partner has multiple partners, it's a problem.
Oh, please.
It is a...
please. I know, like, so many men older men in our, like, who have wives in Samoa and then come over to New Zealand and have wives here in New Zealand.
Listen. That was just a conversation on the TL2 about people that have siblings that they've never met, that they know they have, because their fathers have multiple families. I think one person was like, literally every one of their siblings is born to a nurse because their father was a doctor and a surgeon who was sleeping with all of the nurses, or a large number of them. So yeah, like, just because these dudes have hidden families doesn't mean they're related.
I know this South African, he was a technician for one of these jobs I worked, and he has like a family almost, like he has a family nearly in every corner of the world. Like he has one in South Africa, he has one here in New Zealand. Well, they're in New Zealand where he works and now lives, but he used to live elsewhere, and he's got a family there too. So I'm like, wow.
But that's one of those things that I'm happy and proud to be the patriarch of our family for, because even though I get your view and your mindset, I never intend for our girls. So a lot of my relationships as an honorable individual, not this one, I'm thankful to be in a relationship with a partner I love, but when I was younger, for the sake of honor and duty and responsibility, I stayed in a lot of relationships that felt like slavery to me, that felt like being stuck with people I really didn't want to be with because it was the right thing to do and I didn't want to hurt people and all of that craziness. And I will never teach our girls that. I will never let them be like, oh, people are going to look at you this way. People are going to view at you this way. Part of why I work so hard to build everything we can for our future and our independence and freedom is so they can be whoever the fuck they want to be and do whatever the fuck you want to do. If you want to stay with one person for the rest of your life, do that shit. If you want to have a baby with everybody you think has good genes, do that shit. If you want to do something in between, do it. But don't let what other people think about how you should live your life dictate. Like, you know what I mean? I want you to be the smartest, strongest, best, and brightest you can be. Live the best life you can and move our family forward. And I'll take care of the rest, my G. You want to bring them babies home to me? Bring them home. You got a new sibling. Well, they don't need to know you they mama. I got you. No jokes.
And I know a lot of people who have
that's happened too, right? It's a lot of grandparents that raise babies, not just for the situation that we were talking about. I saw it online, and somebody said, listen, either you raise your kids or you going to raise your grandkids. And so that's definitely a situation out there too. But do you have anything else that you want to toss in on the Viliami conversation?
I just want to say, don't be a Viliami.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways to be one, and you can be one male or female.
Facts. And also, yeah, this is not supposed to be offensive towards Viliamis. Actually, I've never met one Viliami in my life. Viliami. But
anyway, if you have thoughts, views, or opinions on this, as always, we want to hear them. We want to know about them, guys. Check us out, please. If you don't follow us on Twitter already, you can find us on Twitter at Cocolesa. You should definitely check out our new website, the HOHcollective.com. Join our email list. We're putting out great content every day.
Facts. Listen, I would never have been able to do this podcast because I used to have like mad communication issues.
Because she's an introvert.
Because I'm an introvert, and because, you know, in Samoan culture, it's like seen, not heard kind of thing.
And so what I'm working on right now is a project. I have a free video series on YouTube right now. Releasing new episodes once a week. And we're working on a program on the site to help people improve their communication skills in any situation, in your personal life, in your private life. And for updates on that and having more access to it, please, guys, for all of you who are on Facebook, look up the HOH Collective on Facebook, like our page. You can find links to the webpage there, the HOHcollective.com, and get updates on everything we're working on. So, yeah, stop by. Show us some love. Thank you much for listening and supporting, guys. We love you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Bye.
Bye, family.